Hey everyone, it's Heather here from Apyrodesign, back with another day of Pick the Pink. We've only got just a couple left. Are you going to miss us next month with no Pick the Pink? Don't worry, I'm sure I'll be sharing more and more pink prints via social media. I've started an Instagram page for the 3D Pink Mafia, and it is under that title, 3D Pink Mafia, and still always the hashtag 3D Pink Mafia can be used on any social networking platform. There's also a Facebook page for 3D Pink Mafia now that's showing all the prints and updates for the 3D Pink Mafia, so be sure to check those out. So today we're talking about another pink filament, and today's filament is Inland PLA. Now this filament was sent to me from a viewer, and we talked about him before. That his name is Scott, and he's from Arcania's Workshop, or at Arcania on Twitter. Now, I had been talking to him about the various pink filaments. I needed a few more for the last few days of Pick the Pink, and he was willing to send me this, so that was awesome. So I got another spool of a different style of pink filament than what I had before. A little bit about Inland Filaments. You can purchase their filaments at microcenter.com and also on Amazon. Now this is another budget filament. So their filaments run anywhere from about $14.99 to $17.99 for 1 kilogram spools and are available only in 1.75 millimeters. Now, when researching Inland Filament, they actually don't have their own website, and they only sell through Micro Center and then Amazon as well. They do have some other resellers, but those are the two primary ones here in the United States. I printed all the prints you're going to see today on our Zix Plus printer, and let's get to the prints. So the first thing I printed was these little Mario candle stands. So these go around like a candle, or preferably a little LED, and it shows various Super Mario Brothers worlds. So this one is a world with a bunch of coins, and then this one is the warp world, and it shows Mario jumping on getting ready to hit a coin, and then this is the end of one of the castles, or the end of the world. So these are just a fun little print. This was my first time printing in vase mode, and it was super easy, and not that I thought it would be hard, but it was just interesting to print in vase mode, never having done it before. And they printed super quick. I mean, each one of these took less than an hour to print. I think this one was like 35 minutes. So that's kind of neat. The next thing I did was a request by somebody on Twitter, Ron Zamora, and he requested that I print the gear heart. Now, the gear heart and I had a little bit of a love-hate relationship, in that I printed it and it printed just fine, but when I went to put it together, the pins that were included with this specific model weren't efficient enough to hold the pieces actually on. That's why I don't actually show a close-up of the item twisting ever, because every time I do, the pieces fall off. So I do plan to print some additional pins for that, and then that way it'll stick together and it'll be great. So the next print that I have was actually something that was requested from another friend of mine on Twitter, Clyde, from Prototype This 3D. And he has a daughter, Eva, who you may have seen or check out in one of his videos. And she requested a horse. So I found this model on Thingiverse, and it is super cool. It printed really well. With something like this, it's a very interesting model to print because of the shape. It requires a lot of supports, and they actually suggested printing the horse upside down, which I did not do, which maybe I should have, but I didn't want there to be a bunch of imperfections on the top of the horse, and I preferred that they be on the bottom. So I printed it standing straight up, and it printed just fine, and I think Eva will like it. So I'm going to send that out to her so she has a little carousel pony of her very own. Now, the next thing that I printed was, as I'm sure some of you have seen or probably have printed, was the hairy lion. This print prints with a wall all the way around it and utilizes the bridging between the middle of the print and the edge of the wall to create the hair. And then you utilize either like a heat gun, or I actually used a blow dryer on mine. So, and it worked pretty great. Now, I don't know if that's a testament to this filament and how quickly it heats up or melts. Now, these are very fine strands of filament, so when I utilized the blow dryer on it, it sort of melted after just a little bit, but I was giving me the ability to kind of style the lion's mane. definitely I would suggest something like a heat gun for a print like that in the future, but it was still fun to do. And with all the prints, this filament has been absolutely beautiful. It has a beautiful shine to it on the mane of the lion. It's very, very shiny, almost gives it like a wet look, and it really printed beautifully. There's negligible layer lines, and it printed very smooth, especially for another budget filament. I think that this is a great option if you're looking to not spend $40, $50 on a spool of filament, which some of us can't do that, and that's totally fine. But this gives you the option of several different colors for a less expensive cost. Now, the last thing I printed was a model by 3D Printed Aspie, and he created this amazing Mighty Joe Kong model. This was printed on our Zix Plus also, and this is an amazing model. He modeled this in ZBrush and then sent it over to me so that I could print it in amazing pink. And the inland PLA did great. There was a little bit of separation across the eyes, and I think it was with the retraction settings, but the rest of it was great. The fur details looked amazing. Now, there was a little bit of issues with the supports along the bottom that I didn't fully adjust the supports in the settings in Simplify 3D, but I may actually print this again, probably a little bit smaller next time with the correct sports information so that it looks great. So yeah, definitely check out Inland PLA. This is a beautiful filament and very, very inexpensive. Definitely worth checking out. And thanks again to Scott over at Arcania's Workshop for sending it to me and providing it for Pick the Pink. So that does it for this episode of Pick the Pink. Tune in tomorrow to see what pink I pick next. There's only a few left. Bye, everyone.